This is a joint exercise. I will explain a little bit about Denmark, and then Gert will take over and explain about Norway. You have been taking pictures of me several times now. In Denmark, it was proposed to phase out the CFCs, 8 CFCs, already in 1996. The minister at the IIR conference in Aarhus, he went up and said that in 10 years' time there would be no HFCs in Denmark. He was almost right. He lived long enough to see it happen. The announcement created a lot of disturbance in the industry because they were absolutely not prepared that it would happen. They had heard a little bit of mumbling around in the corners, but they were not so active. But suddenly they were taken with their trousers down, they said, or admitted, and they started a big campaign under the motto, melted butter and warm beers, which is the most ugly scenario as a Dane can get. But it didn't happen, because suddenly we had isobutane for the fridges, and by the way, in the RTOC report you can see that more than 90% of all refrigerators are now in Europe based on isobutane, so that's nothing new now. Also a lot of supermarkets are today going natural, but the industry released a magazine like the one I've tried to photocopy the prints, what called front page, and it's funny to read it now, many years later, that it didn't go so bad. The announcement also included a little bit about some taxation, which went into force in 2001, and then there was a ban, a general ban on the installation of systems. But there was a little, what we call mousetrap, where there was a 10 kilo limit, so we would install in the window between 150 gram up to 10 kilo of HFC. Of course, somebody would like to multiplex a lot of this, but there was some other clauses in the regulation that made it less interesting. Here you can see the taxes, both in local currency, but you can also see it in euros. And there are some differences. Denmark is not so expensive as it would seem, but there is a difference between Denmark and Norway. Norway are extremely good with the taxation. They take about 40 euro per kilo, but if you hand back the HFC, you will regain your tax. In Denmark we have a policy, once you have paid your tax, it's lost money. So there is a big difference in this, and it has made a lot of difference in the way. Here you can see the phase down as it worked in Denmark around 2001. You can see it already. The announcement created some movement, and the taxation and the bans in 2001 and 3 only accelerated the phase down. How does that compare to the HFC, the F-gas legislation? You can see here is the F-gas legislation in the light blue, and then you have the green is the Danish one, and then I've tried to calculate it into CO2 equivalent, which is the red one. There is a time difference between these different lines, so don't look at that. But you can see the interesting thing is that if you compare the red one with the green one, you can see that there is an angle in difference. And it is because the tax forced people to think into lower GWP refrigerants rather than 400 and 4A. They were starting to use something with a lower, so it made a lot of difference. But volunteer agreements we saw in Denmark did not work up to before the bans really came. So one of the messages is that it is part of it. Another part of it is that we have quite a education system, and the technicians are in school. You can see here the blue periods is where they are in practical work in the companies, and then the green one is where they are in school. So they are basically in school 50 weeks in all. The first, what we call it, GF, it's a general thing that they have to, that is all school the first 26 weeks. I have to say, there is a way you can get out of the system after halfway, but nobody did it until now because they always managed to convince them that they have to stay in this because there is no future for uneducated people. Engineers, they learn a lot about the theoretical thing, but when it comes to the more practical, very often they don't have the hands-on knowledge. But there's no education really on engineer level on safety and how to handle and design for safety. So if I conclude on the Danish things, this 10 kilogram had an impact, and also the taxation had a good impact on the phase down, phase out, and it has helped immensely the industry to make the change into natural refrigerants. And I have to say, for the company I am representing, it was a good thing, but for others outside Denmark it was not so good. But education is a big part of it, because it's also about safety, and education is linked together with safety. If you go and look at the accidents, they happen, more than 60% of all accidents, they happen during service and maintenance. But where they have a better education system, where they are more educated, there happens less accidents compared to where the skills are less. So, yeah. And now I would